Toto Wolff Mercedes team principal makes U-turn on proposed 2026 F1 power unit change after meeting. In the intricate world of Formula One, where technological innovation intersects with intense sporting competition and complex political maneuvering, the development and finalization of future technical regulations are always subjects of rigorous debate and shifting positions among the sport's key stakeholders. One such area of significant discussion revolves around the proposed architecture for the 2026 power units, a set of regulations designed to usher in a new era for the pinnacle of motorsport, focusing on increased electrical power, sustainable fuels, and cost control, while also aiming to attract new manufacturers to the grid. These regulations represent a fundamental shift from the current hybrid era, retaining the V6 internal combustion engine but significantly altering the balance between conventional power and energy recovery systems. The initial framework for the 2026 power units was agreed upon with broad consensus, setting out a vision for a 50-50 split between the power derived from the internal combustion engine (ICE) and the electrical components, primarily the motor generator unit kinetic (MGUK). This was seen as a bold step towards greater electrification, aligning Formula One more closely with the direction of the global automotive industry and enhancing the sport's sustainability credentials. However, as the technical specifics began to be refined and the potential performance characteristics modeled by the teams in the sport's governing body, the FIA, questions and concerns inevitably arose. It is within this context that the recent comments and apparent shift in stance from Mercedes-AMG Petronas Formula One team principal and CEO, Toto Wolff, gain particular significance. Wolff, a figure known for his candid assessments and strategic acumen, had previously voiced criticisms regarding certain aspects of the proposed 2026 power unit regulations, particularly concerning the balance and deployment of electrical energy. His initial concerns reportedly centered on the potential for the high proportion of electrical power, combined with the energy recovery and deployment strategies, to lead to undesirable racing scenarios, such as cars running out of electrical energy mid-straight or creating significant performance differentials that could hinder close competition. The complexity of managing the energy flow, regenerating power under braking, and deploying it efficiently throughout a lap and over a race distance was highlighted as a potential challenge that needed careful consideration to ensure the racing spectacle remained compelling. The initial modeling and simulations conducted by teams suggested that the original 50-50 split, while ambitious in its electrification goals, might present technical hurdles that could impact drivability and the overall speed profile of the cars in a way that some felt was not optimal for racing. This led to proposals for adjustments to the regulations before they are set in stone. One such proposal, which has been the subject of much recent discussion, involves a potential reduction in the maximum power output from the electrical motor, MGUK, from the initially planned 350 kilowatts down to a figure closer to 200 kilowatts. This change would fundamentally alter the intended power split, moving it away from the 50-50 target towards a ratio closer to 60-40 in favor of the internal combustion engine. The rationale behind such a proposed adjustment is multifaceted. Proponents argue that reducing the reliance on electrical power could simplify the energy management challenge, potentially leading to more consistent performance throughout a lap and reducing the risk of dramatic performance drop-offs. It might also alleviate some of the concerns related to achieving the minimum car weight for 2026, as battery size and complexity are significant contributors to overall vehicle mass. Furthermore, a slightly greater emphasis on the ICE could, in some views, maintain a more traditional link to the engine development prowess that has historically been a cornerstone of Formula One. However, this proposed reduction in electrical power was met with resistance from some quarters, including, initially, Toto Wolff Mercedes, having invested heavily in the current hybrid technology and possessing one of the sport's most formidable power unit divisions, would naturally scrutinize any proposed changes that could impact their competitive position or the fundamental direction of the regulations they have helped shape. Wolff's initial criticism reflected a concern that deviating significantly from the planned 50-50 split might compromise the sport's commitment to electrification and its relevance to future road car technology, one of the stated goals of the 2026 regulations. It also raised questions about the fairness and stability of the regulatory process if fundamental parameters were being debated and potentially altered relatively late in the development cycle. However, recent reports indicate a shift in Toto Wolff's public stance following a meeting where these proposals and concerns were discussed among the relevant parties, likely including the FIA, Formula One management, and representatives from the teams and power unit manufacturers. Emerging from this meeting, Wolff has reportedly adopted a more conciliatory and open-minded approach to the proposed adjustments. This change in tone suggests a recognition of the need for compromise and a willingness to explore potential modifications to the regulations if they are deemed necessary for the overall health and competitive balance of the sport. An open-minded approach in this context implies a willingness to listen to the arguments for the proposed changes, to evaluate the technical data and simulations objectively, and to consider whether adjustments, even if they deviate from the initial vision, might ultimately serve the best interests of Formula One. It also suggests a pragmatic understanding that regulations are complex and require fine-tuning as the technical understanding evolves. Wolff's emphasis now appears to be on finding the right balance, balancing Mercedes' legitimate interests as a competitor and power unit supplier with the broader objective of ensuring the 2026 regulations deliver exciting, competitive, and sustainable racing. He has reportedly stressed the importance of avoiding drastic, knee-jerk changes based purely on early assumptions and instead favoring adjustments that can be made within the existing framework and potentially through software refinements rather than fundamental hardware redesigns. This nuanced position acknowledges that while the initial vision was important, the practical implementation and potential unintended consequences must also be addressed. Making changes through software parameters or minor technical directives is often less disruptive and costly than requiring significant hardware modifications, which is a crucial consideration given the investment already being made by manufacturers in developing the new power units. The discussion around the 2026 regulations also extends to other critical areas, such as the minimum car weight. There are ongoing concerns about whether the targets set for the overall weight of the cars are achievable, particularly with the increased battery size and other components required for the new power unit architecture. The weight of the cars has a significant impact on performance, handling, and the physical demands on the drivers, and ensuring the cars are as light as safely possible is a constant objective in Formula One design. Furthermore, the potential impact of the new power units on racing dynamics remains a key area of focus. How the deployment of electrical energy interacts with the IC throughout a lap, how drivers manage their energy reserves, and how these factors influence overtaking opportunities and strategic variations are all critical questions that the final regulations must address to ensure thrilling on-track action. Toto Wolff's evolving stance reflects the dynamic nature of regulation development in Formula One. It underscores the fact that even after initial agreement, the technical complexities and potential sporting implications require continuous evaluation and a willingness among stakeholders to adapt based on new information and modeling. While the precise details of the 2026 power unit regulations are still being finalized, Wolff's recent comments suggest a move towards finding a pragmatic solution that balances the sport's ambitious goals for the future with the practical realities of engineering and the imperative to deliver compelling racing. The coming months will be crucial in finalizing these regulations, and the collaborative, albeit sometimes contentious, process of debate and compromise among the teams, manufacturers, and the governing body will ultimately shape the technical landscape of Formula One for years to come. The outcome of these discussions will not only determine the technical challenges faced by engineers but also the fundamental characteristics of the cars that will compete for world championships from 2026 onwards, impacting everything from lap times and race strategies to the very nature of the competition on track.